Hello friends, good morning. Today we'll start with a brief introduction of the next poem, that is by William Cowper, On the Receipt of My Mother's Picture. So the poem, as the name suggests, is also known as On the Receipt of My Mother's Picture out of Norfolk. It is an elegy written by the English poet William Cowper, and Cowper's mother, Anne Cowper, died when he was just a 6-year-old child. Later, in 1790, at the age of 58, he received a picture of his mother from his cousin, Annie Bodham, which inspired him to write this elegy, remembering the loss of his mother. So it is, in short, to say, a poem which remembers or a remembrance of the poet's mother. So the poet remembers the language of his mother. Poet's life had been rough without his mother because he was just a small child when his mother died, and he remembers her sweet smile, which can emanate from only her lips, which had soothed him in the childhood. Even though he cannot hear her voice, he remembers her words vividly, softly urging him not to grieve and to chase his fears, and remembers her gentle, intelligent eyes, which still shine on him in the same way. He feels that she is still there, her presence is still there in his life. This expresses his gratitude to the immoralizing power of art, which can baffle or even obstruct the cruel and oppressive claim of time. Cowper welcomes his mother's memories, fueled by the unexpected picture of his mother, which he receives after so many years of his mother's death. He feels honored by his mother's affectionate presence, as she was absent for such a long period of time of his life. He therefore is willing to obey gladly, as if the rules were laid down by her. Even though her face in the picture renews his grief as a son, his imagination brings a charm, that is a sort of magic, to relieve him by immersing him in a heavenly dream. Though it is momentary, in which he can feel that she is alive, but still this is a sort of relief for him. The poet then reveals his plight when he lost his mother forever. He gives a series of questions or launches a series of questions which reveal his pain, which he went through during this episode, that is his mother's death. He asks her whether she knew about the tears he shed, means he questions his mother. Was her spirit hovering over her broken and sorrow-filled son, whose life's journey had just begun? His imagination will create a sort of image that brings his mother back to life. He imagines that she must have consoled him with a kiss or a tear, if souls or spirits can weep in happiness or grief at someone's misery. He assumes that she is smiling in the affirmative. He remembers that the slow tolling of the death bell on her burial day, the hearse which carried her away slowly, and he drew in a long sigh, and he had wept and bid a last farewell to his beloved mother. All he remembers on seeing the portrait or the picture of his mother. He vouchsafes that this memory, or his memory of her burial day, is so still fresh in his mind all these memories sort of create a pang of distress or sorrow in his mind, and even in the minds of the reader, because we try to relate all these things with our lives. He contemplates that in her world, adieus and farewell might be an unfamiliar concept. He wishes to meet her again on that peaceful shore, so that he does not have to utter the parting word again. So he remembers how his mother's attendants, friends, were filled with grief and concern for him, often gave him promises of his mother's quick return. Means they were trying to console a small child who didn't understand what has happened to him. He wished for her return passionately. He believed that maybe she can, because he was a small child. So the poet is trying to give us a feel of the mentality of a small child whose mother has just died, and he felt or thought that maybe because of his prayers she can come back to life. But all those were false promises which he believed for a long time. This disappointment still lasts in him, and he feels duped every day and that follows. Therefore, after many sad tomorrows, his stock of infant sorrow was spent, and he had to resign to his plight that his mother would never be coming back, mourning less for his mother, even though he could never forget her. He then goes on to lament about the loss of their pastoral house that was in the village, in the place where they once lived. Their names are not heard anymore. Children of other people walking in his nursery. He remembers his gardener, whose name was Robin, who used to drive him to his school in his bright but cheap coach, while the poet was wrapped in scarlet shawl and velvet cap because the time was of winter. All this has become a history now. Their pastoral house is reduced to a short-lived possession. The loss of his childhood warmth is evident in the poem, we can see. But all these painful memories, all the storms and the thousand other themes alike are effaced by the beautiful memories of the times with the mother in that house. He remembers how she made nightly visits to his chamber to see if he is safe and sound, and how she rewarded him with small confectionery items. And in the morning before he left their home, he remembers how she used to apply fragrant waters on his cheeks until they shone. And he even remembers that small endearing things, her constant flow of love, which never fell or roughened by blind anger, any other changes in mood or other constraints. All her kind deeds are clear in his mind. The joy he enabled him to pay honors such as his memorial poem, even at the age of 58. He is daunted by the doubt that the memorial might be a frail one. He is not finding it a great memorial for his mother, but he is sure that the fact that his mother in heaven will not scorn his effort, even though the dedication goes unnoticed among other mortals. He feels that his mother would appreciate it. The poet wonders if he could reverse the course of time by restoring the hours he has with his mother. He remembers the time when he would play with the tissued flowers, the violet, pink, jasmine on his mother's dress by pinning them to a paper. He even remembers his mother's smile at such moments. She was happier than him, and she would speak softly and stroke his head. He wishes for all such moments to come back. He wonders if he can wish, or his wish is so powerful to bring those moments back. The poet compares his mother to a splendid ship from Albion's, that is the ancient name of England, coast, which had weathered all the storms and crossed the ocean to reach smoothly and fast into the port of a safe island where the seasons are bright and where spices breathe. He sees his mother, the ship is sitting on the ship peacefully and passive on the waters, her form reflected on the water below while the air around her soaked with perfume. He still remembers the smell of his mother. The poet admires the swiftness with which the ship has reached the shore, which is not disturbed by the tempests or the thunderous clouds. She has finally reached her resting place, which is peaceful. Also, her death at such a young age is hinted here by the poet. He also alludes to the fact that his father has reached by her side safe from the dangerous tide of life. The poet also wishes to reach by their side. He wants to join his family. But his hope is feeble as he is always withheld from the reaching of the port by some devious winds that deviates his way. His ship is tossed by the tempest, his sails are tripped. So he finds himself wandering to reach or unite with his family. Every passing day brings more challenges to the poet. The current never favors him, and it prevents him from reaching the prosperous course of the safe haven where his parents are. So the poet says that he is rather filled with joy at the fact that his parents are safe, whatever his position on earth might be. He cannot boast of a birth from the loins of royalty or rulers of the earth, but he is still proud of the fact that he can claim of a sonship from parents who have found their place in heaven. He suddenly comes to the realization that he must bid a farewell to the memories of his mother. The poet is content that his wishes are gratified. By the help of contemplation, he was able to relive his childhood. Therefore, he was able to renew the joys that was once his without committing the sin of violating his mother's rest. He is soothed by the promise provided by the wings of fancy that leap of imagination can imitate the memories of his mother. He says that time has only half succeeded in this theft, means that time has not been able to fade his memories. Even though his mother's physical presence to comfort him is not there or it is lost, her memories will suffice to soothe him for the rest of his life. Thank you.